Welcome to the Verdict Zone. Today, we delve into one of the most profound and unsettling cases we've ever examined, a story we're calling the Irrational Doubt. This isn't just about a question of paternity. It's a devastating story that peels back the layers of character, exposes the poison of racism, and forces us to ask whether some actions create wounds so deep that no apology, no matter how desperate, can ever truly heal them. Imagine this: a new mother, in the raw, vulnerable hours after giving birth, is suddenly faced with a chilling accusation. Her husband, looking at their newborn child, accuses her of infidelity. The reason? The baby's appearance. This initial shock, this moment of profound betrayal, is just the beginning. What unfolds next is not a simple misunderstanding or a moment of panicked confusion. It's a calculated, cruel, and sustained campaign of abandonment and destruction. He leaves her alone at the hospital. While she is recovering from childbirth, grappling with this new reality, he goes home and begins to systematically erase her from his life. He throws out her possessions. He invades her personal sanctuary, her art studio, a place of creation and self-expression, and destroys her work, her tools, her passion. But the cruelty doesn't stop there. It escalates into a public and private smear campaign. He sends messages to friends and family, spreading lies about her character. And woven into these attacks is a thread of vile, racial animosity directed at his own infant child. For weeks, he shows absolutely no concern for the baby's well-being, consumed only by his own rage and suspicion. Over the next 15 minutes, we are going to dissect every layer of this betrayal. Let's break down the timeline of this destruction. It begins with the abandonment at birth, a moment that should have been shared in joy. It then spirals into a campaign of harassment, both public and private, designed to isolate and shame her. This is followed by the tangible violence of property destruction, a symbolic annihilation of her identity. And then comes the paternity revelation. A DNA test, backed by a deeper dive into his own family history, proves what should have been obvious: he is, without a doubt, the father. The child's appearance, the source of his vile accusations, is a direct reflection of his own genetic heritage, a heritage he was either ignorant of or chose to suppress. This revelation should have been the end, a moment for deep, soul-searching remorse. Instead, it marks the beginning of the aftermath, an onslaught of apologies and pleas for forgiveness. But this is where the real verdict lies. The initial doubt, while shocking and hurtful, is one thing. People can be insecure, they can panic. But the sustained, cruel, and meticulously executed retaliation that followed is something else entirely. The racist rhetoric he used to describe his own daughter, that isn't just a mistake. It reveals a foundational, deeply disturbing flaw in his character. The DNA test proves his paternity, but it cannot unring the bell of his behavior. It cannot erase the words, the threats, the destruction. It cannot undo the terror he inflicted upon a new mother at her most vulnerable. So, the critical questions remain. After everything he has done, can she ever truly feel safe with him again? Can she trust a man who was capable of such venom to protect their daughter from a world that often mirrors the very prejudice he displayed? His actions were not just an attack on his wife, they were a direct assault on the identity of his child before she could even understand what identity is. To help us understand the profound implications of this, we've consulted with experts. A clinical psychologist specializing in betrayal trauma explains that the combination of postpartum vulnerability and such a vicious, personal attack can create a form of complex PTSD. The brain's threat detection system can become permanently rewired. For the mother, the husband is no longer a source of safety, he has become the primary source of danger. The very person who should have been her anchor became the storm. Every apology might sound like a manipulation, every promise a potential lie. Rebuilding trust isn't like fixing a broken plate, it's like trying to rebuild a city after an earthquake. The foundations are shattered. We also spoke with a cultural expert who shed light on the insidious nature of internalized bias and racism within families. When a parent expresses racial hostility towards their own child, it's not just a personal failing, it's a projection of societal prejudice onto the most intimate relationship possible. This creates a deeply damaging environment. The expert posed a chilling question: if a father is capable of using race as a weapon against his own infant daughter, what happens when she is old enough to understand those words? What happens when she faces racism from the outside world, and looks to her father for support, only to know that he himself once harbored those same sentiments? Can he truly teach her to love herself, all of herself, when he demonstrated such a profound rejection of her heritage at her birth? The expert was clear: exposing a child to a parent who has shown them such targeted malice is a significant risk to their psychological and emotional development. It forces the child to navigate a world where one of their primary caregivers was also one of their first antagonists. This heartbreaking situation forces us to ponder an essential moral judgment. Does the shared responsibility of parenthood demand unconditional forgiveness from the wronged party, no matter the transgression? Or does becoming a parent, in fact, create an even greater, more sacred obligation, the duty to protect that child from anyone who has shown them malice, even if that person is the other parent? This isn't about punishing the father for his actions. It's just about prioritizing the safety and well-being of a child who was targeted before she could even open her eyes. The mother now carries the burden of this decision. Forgiving him and reuniting the family might seem like the conventional path, the path of keeping the family unit intact. But is it the safe path? Is it the right path for her daughter? Protecting her child might mean creating a life separate from the man who caused them both so much harm. It's a choice between the ideal of a two-parent home and the reality of a safe one. These are the decisions that define lifetimes. They shape the future not just for the adults involved, but for the innocent child at the center of it all. If you believe in protecting the vulnerable, if you believe in holding people accountable for the deepest flaws in their character, then you need to be a part of this conversation. This is what we do here at the Verdict Zone. We don't just tell stories, we provide a forum for the judgments that matter, the ones that prioritize safety, dignity, and truth. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Join a community that isn't afraid to confront the difficult questions and demand a higher standard of character, especially from those in positions of trust. Choose protection. Choose truth. Subscribe now.